So welcome back, everyone. My name is Benissa. I'm with Benisa's Cafe, and I have my co-host here with me, Coach Betty. We are here because we're celebrating International Women. We are interviewing 20 amazing women from around the globe, and we want them to tell us more about women and how women are celebrated in their countries. So, Coach Betty, go ahead and introduce our guests for today.
Good morning, everyone. Again, like Benissa mentioned, we are here to celebrate Women's Day, and we have women from a lot of countries with us this month. But today we have a special guest. She is from Bulgaria, and her name is Miss Z. Miss Z, welcome to our platform. We are so happy to have you today.
Hi, everyone. I go by Zhenya. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for giving women of diverse cultures a voice.
So, but welcome, Ms. Z, to our platform. We are so happy to have you joining us. It's a pleasure to hear from different backgrounds, different countries. So today, we're going to really ask you a few questions to really get to know you and your country specifically. So our first question is really to get to know you first. Please tell us about who you are, Ms. Z.
Thank you so much for having me. So I'm Bulgarian by birth. I spent half of my life in Bulgaria, the other half here. Approaching the quintessential midlife, ask yourself the ultimate question period of life. A change of identity is coming, so I'm not sure which country, which continent I'm going to choose. A mother of one, small business owner, a perpetual problem solver, a little bit of an idealist. Yeah, that's me.
A lot in a few sentences.
Yeah. So let's start off. Let's talk a little bit about Bulgaria. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, or something special about Bulgaria that is, people don't know, that is most not, talked about, that you would like to share this morning?
Well, Bulgaria is the second oldest country in Europe, I believe. It was founded in 681 AD. I think it's the second oldest to San Marino. And San Marino is such a tiny little country. And I believe that one was founded in the 300s. The oldest Homo sapiens was found in Bulgaria. I think it's for Europe anyway. It's 45,000 years old. So a lot of archaeologists believe that Bulgaria has some links to a very old civilization. It's the home of the Mystery of Bulgarian Voices. It's a women-only choir that is known for enchanting throat singing. It is actually beautiful. I'm saying it sounds like I'm making fun, but in reality, it's beautiful. It's mesmerizing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm proud to have been born in Bulgaria. I truly have the best of both worlds, coming from Eastern Europe and living in the US.
Wow. Awesome. I can see the beauty through your voice, the excitement.
Oh, thank you.
So definitely. So now, but tell us, since you've lived in Bulgaria for 20 years, you were born there, raised there, until you turned 20. So tell us how women are viewed in Bulgaria.
Today is probably different from what it was back when I was growing up. With the advancement of technology and everything being digitized and available openly through the internet. But it's funny, I've been on some interesting period of my life where I'm reading into history, archaeology. It's a recent interest of mine. So recently, I read about a statue of a woman that was found in there were a lot of treasures that were unearthed in Bulgaria, but this particular statue depicts a woman with pretty large arms, small breasts, huge thighs, the typical fertility figure. And they dated it 4,500 BC, or the Copper Age, I guess. So it was viewed as the great mother, the throne of wisdom, power, the seat of authority, the seat of law. I don't know that anybody views women like this nowadays, but there is an unspoken belief about women silently getting through their ideas, but having men be at the forefront. The men enact them. They're the face or even the head. It reminds me, I don't know if you've seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but there is a scene in that movie, and that's a comedy. It's a romantic comedy, but it shows a lot of, I guess, Greek customs, but also Eastern European customs, where the mother of the main character, who's a female, says to her, don't worry, men might be the head, but the woman is the neck. So we get to point them in the right direction. So I really believe that Bulgarian women are the neck, or we view ourselves as the neck. So we don't necessarily fight for to being at the forefront. We're okay with having the patriarchy or the men leading the household. However, we know that very much applies to Bulgarian women, that we can steer in the right direction. So in a sense, women are the behind the scenes navigation.
That's a great analogy. I can resonate with it too in my culture as well, you know. So let's see. So you kind of already shared, well, I guess you shared how women are viewed. Well, how are women viewed in your country? What would you say?
Well, they're viewed as not leading per se, when in reality, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I have two older sisters and a mother who, shortly after the fall of communism and the Berlin Wall, everybody registered businesses. So I was always active and involved in doing something productive. So I really can only give you the viewpoint of viewing women signing contracts and negotiating and being extremely active.
Mm-hmm.
However, on a small scale, the moment we get to the point of, I remember when I was in my teens, my mother finally found the field that she wanted, or the type of industry that she wanted to sell in. And it was very, very successful. So she grew a huge distribution center, huge in the idea of a family business, because it had 8 different locations, distribution center, and she was literally the head of it. But nobody would talk about her as being the leader. Everybody in a community sense, everybody would ask about the husband. So I don't know that that's changed much, but I don't think that women in Bulgaria per se would love to be the ones signing the paperwork or showing who they really are. They actually want to be in the action, being the productive selves that they are. And I guess it's a question of how we view success or how we view fulfillment. And I don't think it's viewed through the lens of the identities, the name and the person and the business and the money-making machine. It's a little bit more bare bones in the US and in the Western world, where everybody wants to have their identity through their name and through their business and through what they're doing shown to the public. Whereas in Bulgaria, I don't think it's like that. It's like we're complex creatures and we have so many parts to us. I think family is still very much a part of the identity of a woman in Bulgaria. So it is very important to have that bit as the fulfilling part. And the business, the productivity, the identity in terms of how we contribute to society outside of the family, it probably still comes second.
Okay.
Well, that's a great concept that you shared, because not everyone knows that. And I believe that women around the world have different ways of expressing themselves. That's why sometimes it's kind of like, weird to hear a different view from someone else from a different place. So thank you so much for bringing that to the platform, so we can clearly see how Bulgarian, they really see the world, or they really act, in their society. So thank you for for sharing that piece. But now tell us about opportunities in Bulgaria. So is there such thing as equal opportunity for women as far as maybe salary or education and finances? How does that work in Bulgaria?
Well, equal opportunity implies fairness, equality for all. I don't believe that there is absolute fairness anywhere. I certainly appreciate the more avenues that are open and available to Bulgarian women nowadays than there were during the communist regime era, which was fairly long. In terms of financial opportunities, the ways that they can portray who they really are and show the world who they really are, there's definitely more opportunities. But fair and equal, I don't know. I don't even see it in the US, to be honest with you. I mean, we're much more outspoken in the US as female species, but generally speaking, I don't think that there is equality. There's probably much less equality in terms of remuneration in Bulgaria than there are in the US. So it's probably worse than it is here. But again, Bulgarian women are very entrepreneurial. For example, my sister, one of my two sisters, the middle one, Vanya, she has had 4 or 5 different businesses, and she started off. She's very creative and extremely innovative in the ways she goes about things, and she's fearless. So I don't know. She creates the opportunity, if that makes sense. So I've been witnessing a lot of women in her circle and my family's circle still who are very outgoing, go-getters. They just aim at it and they go for it. So in the sense, they create the opportunity. I don't know that they like to sit back and wait on opportunities to come their way, or for somebody to say, this is how much you're going to be paid and this is for how long and this is what I think you're worth, if it makes sense. So my point of view is probably skewed because, again, I started off very early in my life with great examples of how to go get what you want instead of wait and be told how much you're worth. But in terms of fairness, if we're talking about loans and financial opportunities and like vehicles that you can use to make your business successful, in Bulgaria, it's much more difficult. You have a lot of predatory lending, from anything from mortgages to businesses. It's mostly those short-term loans that have aggressive interest rates. And I don't think that they, specifically the institutions that give those out, would do this particularly targeting women and raising the rates. However, overall, the market, it does not cater to people who want to somewhat use a financial vehicle so that they can make their businesses and their lives easier. I think it's much more difficult there. And I wouldn't speak of equality across all genders. I mean, I don't think that financial lives are much easier than here. Here we have a lot of choices. In the US, you have choices. If this lender is not who you want to go with, you can go shop for more, and there are plenty of choices. Whereas there, the market is still contracted. You don't have that many choices, so that leaves you with usually calling up a friend or a family member and trying to make it work within the community that you already established.
Mm-hmm. I think it's fair enough, and then I like your opinion and how you think through this question, because like you said, there is no equality anywhere. There is a perfection in anywhere. So it's a matter of us seeing how we're going to see what's fair, what's equal, and how we're going to go after the opportunities ourselves, how we're going to create them, not necessarily wait for them to come to you, but create them and then make sure you're innovative and trying to get things done on your own. But thank you for bringing light to this aspect of the question.
Absolutely. So I would like to know now, or we would like to know, how your expectations have changed, or if they've changed since moving here. Just as a woman, has your perspective of what you want out of life, or as far as your rights has it changed?
I mean, the US has exposed me to, and I mentioned this earlier, there's such a variety of cultures. There's such an influx of information, of a different point of view. So one of the best things about the US is that you have commingling of cultures, and you have people from all over who are pitching in, who are outspoken. So throughout the years, I found many more ways to solve a problem by being in an environment where people are more open-minded. There is more how do I put this? I guess the outspoken bit, it's just everybody is free to speak their truth. And when they come from a different background, that makes for a variety of solutions. So that's definitely changed me. I would joke with my family whenever I fly back, and I fly back fairly frequently, that I wouldn't be applicable to Bulgaria anymore if I were to go back. I wouldn't easily find understanding with different institutions and the way I go about asserting who I am and what I'm due for whatever it is that I'm offering them. So yeah, it's definitely changed me in a good way, I think.
Awesome. Coach Betty, you're muted.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I was on mute. Yeah, definitely. I think that, I mean, I agree with you, because sometimes we don't think through these things, as we are evolving elsewhere, and we don't see different, I mean, the choices we have sometimes they are not necessarily, out there. People might have just one if you are in a smaller country, for example, like you mentioned, you might need to go to your family and friends to make it happen. So, but the US give us that variety. We a large bucket of choices to choose from. So that's definitely the reality we are in, and we hope people can see this through this conversation. But now we want to address women in Bulgaria specifically. So to see, is there any maybe respect? So how do they perceive them? Is there something as respect for women in Bulgaria? So how, from the time you've been there, you were there for a few years, maybe prior your 20 anniversary. So do you think women are respected enough in Bulgaria? What about women respect?
Come to think of it, most Bulgarian women would probably be something similar to the women that I've experienced in my life when I was growing up, because I think when the Ottoman Empire, which lasted about 5 centuries for Bulgarians, and it ended in the late 1800s, when that ended and Bulgaria actually started coming up with constitution rights and who is going to do what and assign roles to different people, they completely omitted women. It took, I think, 40 or 50 years for women to even, it's not earn, because they actually fought for it, to fight for their right to vote. And before even voting rights, they were not allowed to study. They were not allowed to do much other than being a mother. That was it. So I would say until 1930s and 40s, when women first were, in Bulgaria specifically, were allowed to be part of the voting process, and also be part of the decision-making process, because I believe this is when, late 1930s is when Bulgarian women actually were part of the parliament for the first time, or of any institution whatsoever. So respect is, I guess it's earned, and you can easily see that through any women's movement, but that also includes Bulgaria. Even nowadays, with things are so fast moving, changing, I think it's much more about content and much less about sex, which is a great thing about the digital age, because women get to do a lot more, and it's not so much about whether you're a woman or a man, but if your content is valuable, what does it offer to the world? What impact does it have? So
I like that approach. So tell us, how do you celebrate International Women's Day on March 8th in Bulgaria? And how
We
is it
do.
celebrated?
Oh, usually everybody gives you flowers if you're a woman.
Mhm.
And irrespective if you're 5, 15, 50, or close to 100, it doesn't matter. If you're the boss, the sister, the mom, whoever you might be, it's a little gesture, basically to say thank you for being a woman and for, I guess, making people happy through that role, because women have huge shoes to fill. We're talking about business, but the family bit is huge. Being a mother, I can attest to that. But I don't think that we can be limited to just, in the US, and I had this conversation with my daughter recently, around the 8th of March, because she goes to Bulgarian school here in Atlanta on Saturdays, and they had this International Women's Day celebration. She's like, "You mean Mother's Day?" I'm like, "No, it's a Women's Day. You are a woman, even if you're 8. So I'm going to celebrate you." And I explained to her the different ways that different cultures go about celebrating the other. And it just so happens that there's no, I mean, there is an International Women's Day, but I don't think it's that popular in the US. So I technically had to explain it to a 8-year-old that it's overall, you're much more than just being a mother, or you will be much more than just being a mother in the future. So usually flowers, small gesture, a little card, a handwritten message, that would be more than enough. I mean, this is how usually Bulgarians like to sit around a table and get together with people and exchange ideas constantly. So that's another way to sit down, and it's not feasting really, but in the old days it was probably considered feasting.
I like the way you including your daughter, although she's 8, in that process, because sometimes we think Women's Day is for adults. It's not for the kids, the youth, to understand the importance of it. But the fact that you are teaching her young, she's a woman, the impact she has in the world, in her surrounding, that's powerful. I think that's really something that we all should do. If you have small kids, women, if they are with you, you can show them that that's something they should expect as they are growing up. So definitely, I think that's a great best practices, definitely. But now tell us, Z, so what change would you like to see in your country and globally?
Well, the changes, I mentioned this earlier. There's a lot of talk and conversation about division, who we are, and defining this portion of society or this gender or whatever gender, because we have a variety of genders nowadays. But it's much less about definition. It's of who or where it comes from, and it's much more about the contribution they make. So I think the conversation should be surrounding who brings the most value. I can put it simply. It's about impact, and it's not about financial impact per se. It's about values. It's about knowledge, and you can easily see that, when you meet people and they have a certain presence, you feel humbled by being in their presence, and you're just eager to learn more, to just, I guess, to soak in the information that they're about to provide you with. I think it's about that. It's much less about gender, or it's about this group or that group, or this culture or that culture. I think we're a huge global village. The world went through that stage already, where everybody was flying everywhere and pretty much the borders are open to anyone. So if people are eager to learn from another's experience, they can. So it comes down to how much is it that one can contribute to the world, or to even a small community. It doesn't need to be global. But it's about contribution, it's about content, it's about what is it that we offer, what's the substance, not so much the form, the gender, the who, the where from. It's much more about what is it that they're offering, and can it be applied to the greater the cause, or the greater the community, the better.
Mm-hmm. Coach Betty, you're muted.
Yes, I mean, I agree. So the message is powerful. So the change, we should try to apply out the changes locally first, and then hopefully get to the global level. So I'm with you on that one. And every woman watching us tonight, today, whenever you're watching this show, should understand that. So make your impact, make your mark, within your community, your household, and then expand globally.
You know, one thing I would like
Absolutely.
to add too is that it's okay to be just a mom, a housewife, you know. It's like I feel that the expectation is so high where a lot of women, you know, don't see themselves as valuable because, you know, they're simply not, you know, they don't have that education level or the, you know, they just simply want to be a mom. You know, I know many of them that feel fulfilled by raising their own children, being a mom, and that within itself brings a lot of great value to those kids that get the opportunity to be at home, right, and be raised by their own parents versus a babysitter. You know, like here in the United States, everything is so fast paced, and I know as a mom of four, it broke my heart every time I had to leave my babies with a stranger at a daycare or another family member and go work versus me being home and taking care of my own child. So I think that everybody has to find their own purpose in life and their voice, and then, you know, but just feel whole doing so, you know. So I just wanted to kind of add that too, because, you know, I think that's really important to convey that message too, that yes, we can be powerful. We can be these amazing human beings. We can multitask and accomplish so many things, but it's okay not to. It's okay to, you know, to kind of just, you know, live within the role that you as a mom and wife and everything else like that.
I absolutely agree with you. I cannot agree more. I
Mhm.
mean, it's pretty much within the lines of what I think as well, because
Mhm.
your role doesn't need to be global and the whole world. It can start with your family. If you
Mhm.
have 4 kids, you're creating 4 different worlds all at once. This is incredible. I mean, I only have one, and I feel like it's a huge deal for me to take on the responsibility for setting the values for one human being, much less for more. And I absolutely agree with you on the taking the responsibility and first and foremost of being a mom. And that's a huge change from who I was before I had my daughter. I mean, huge. I could not be, it's like 2 different people. If you had known me before, I know that we met after. However, I have much more appreciation for women after becoming a mom, because I see what it entails as a role. It's
Mhm.
not the same as viewing and observing, and I'm very good at observing. But experiencing it, it's a whole other ball game. It's just so I have a lot of respect for anyone, especially in the US, deciding to stay at home and steer their family in a certain direction, because that's what women do. They raise kids, they feed them, they do the practical things on daily basis, they teach them, they help with their education, and ultimately they steer them in a certain direction.
Mhm.
So that's a lot to take on. And
Mhm.
I think that's the first step in the small, speaking of a small community. I mean, what's a family? It's a small community.
Mhm. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Definitely. So, Benita, are you going to ask the last question? Or are we going to?
Oh, we already did.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah, we already
yeah.
did.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you so much for being here, Ms. Z. We truly appreciate you. And we have all the interviews that we are going to post, and you can see them on the YouTube page. We are BENISA'S CAFE and Fortunately Farm. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms. So you're welcome to check this link out and other interviews we had prior to yours. And we invite the world also to follow both of us on Instagram, YouTube,
Mhm.
and to see the rest of the interviews.
Thank you so much. I
Awesome.
truly appreciate this, and I think it's a great step. I appreciate you taking the time for interviewing so many different people, and especially women, and for giving us a voice, as I said in the beginning. because for the most part, women are not given the face or the voice or the neck, like I said. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.